Prepare to get educated via slime on slime action with today's episode of Dev Diary, the series where I try to make my own video games. So first, this is a follow-up to a recent video where I took another shot at making a merge game using knowledge of current day me. It was very enlightening and I highly recommend watching it if you haven't already. We won't be covering the merge portion of the game in this video, so a link to that video can be found in the description. So if you guessed part 2 would feature a top-down action game of sorts, congratulations, you must be familiar with my game. The player controls a slime wrangler who, yes, they themselves are a slime. What makes the player special is their access to 2 tools. We'll start with the wrangler, aka the sucker. By holding left click, the player can suck up nearby slimes. Once a slime has been sucked, it is temporarily stored in the tool itself. The player can then do a few things with this stored slime. First, they can bank it. This will convert the slime into paint and store it in the player's bag. Yes, the same bag from last episode, which means this is how the player acquires paint for the merge portion of our game. However, some of you keen-eyed folk may have noticed that only 3 colors seem to show up in the wild. Well, I mean 4 if you count white, but we're not counting white. And it's also not my typical bad RNG at play here. This is by design, because while the player can bank slime for their color, they can also use that slime's color against other slimes. Hitting a slime of a primary color with a slime of another primary color will quote-unquote merge the two into a new slime of the combination of the two. So red and blue make purple, blue and yellow make green, and yellow and red make orange. Put them all together and, well, you'd probably make brown or something. I don't know. This was supposed to be a transition where I say something like, if you enjoy the content, then you and supporting me on Patreon make me able to continue doing it. And that it can get you access to exclusive content and even early access to the weekly Dev Diary videos before they're released on YouTube. Now back to the game. 2 slime of the same color will cancel each other out, removing the color from both in the process, turning them white. Now colored slime's interactions with white slime are unique in that instead of merging with a white slime, the white slime will simply adopt the color of the thrown slime, and white slime that are sucked up are also immediately converted into ammo for the player's other tool, the spitter. The player's second tool could be misconstrued as a gun, but this is not a shooter game, at least not in the traditional sense. Like shooting a slime with this tool will do nothing but annoy them and actually turn it and any other similarly colored slime hostile. And when they are hostile, the slime will do contact damage to the player. So it's best to avoid violence when it comes to your fellow slime. Instead, this tool is meant for the large honkin' blocky creatures that also inhabit this world. And it's these big old rectangles of colored fun that tie the whole experience together. Now first things first, unlike the slime, these things are always angry. Or maybe apathetic based on their face. Either way, they're territorial beings, so getting too close will alert them in a bad way. And if the player doesn't move away, these slow moving blocks of doom kick it to 11 and charge the player at a blistering speed. And they will continue to do this until the player is outside their comfort zone. And finally, much like snakes and frogs in the wild, colors tell a great deal about the lethality of these creatures, but those colors also play a huge part in how to take these things down, which I should probably mention is also like the whole point of the game. So yeah, notice those color patterns? Now remember those loadouts from the previous video? Oh yeah, you probably know where this is going. The gameplay loop is simple. Track down the big rectangles of doom and take note of their color schemes. Then collect, wrangle, and mix nearby slimes into paint, which gets loaded into the merge grid. Level the paint up, load it into the tool, and take those rectangles down. And if this was like more of a full experience, the game would end when all rectangles are defeated, or the player is stomped while trying. And actually, funny enough, the original concept was meant to be like an educational style game to teach kids about colors. But honestly, the mechanics kind of give off some pretty dark implications, Yeah, but still, this was a fun little 2-parter that explored familiar territory, but, using new methods to execute them. Because yes, once again, dictionaries played a huge part in the way that this game functions in regards to colors. Now, it wasn't anything crazy or groundbreaking, but, just good old-fashioned experimentation to get better at using newly acquired knowledge. And speaking of knowledge, for anyone considering using structs in gamemaker, just know that returning variables stored in structs will be random. I had to rewrite the display code for things like loadouts and the rectangles colors because of this, and it was incredibly tedious. Anyway, it would have been cool to add more features if I had the time. For example, a suck upgrade that would let the player suck up 2 colors at a time and auto mix them. Yeah, stuff like that. That's just what I would do. But that does beg the question, what would you add as an upgrade or feature to improve the project? Really, anything on your mind, be sure to leave it in the comments. While you're at it, if you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and why not subscribe if you're new to the channel? But with that said, brings us to the end of today's Dev Diary, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.